Hello and welcome. I'm Mercy the Game Master here at HereThereBeMonsters, and we're back with another Working Wednesday stream. We've got 30 minutes on the clock. We take about a 5-minute break, put 30 more minutes on the clock, and then at the end of a power hour, we are out of here. You're welcome to join me to work on any projects you need to. Of course, if you're a Game Master or Dungeon Master, you're more than welcome to join us for that, but it doesn't have to be. Lots of people do dishes, clean up around the house, or do whatever works. So thank you for joining us. Enjoy getting 60 to 90 minutes worth of focused work time in. And as far as us today, a couple quick bits of news before we get into it. Hello, Stardust. Thank you for being first. First things first. We have a session 9. We're a little bit behind on our D&D sessions, but we have session 9 of our D&D campaign is up on YouTube for your viewing pleasure. Session 10 should be hitting YouTube
stream
tomorrow.
Is now live.
Thank you, Lumia Stream. Session 10 should be hitting YouTube tomorrow. The goal is for session 11 to then hit YouTube on Saturday because I am gone Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this upcoming week. So hopefully by this weekend, we'll be fully caught up on sessions on YouTube for your viewing pleasure. And then after I get back, then we will be starting to upload sessions from our second campaign. If you haven't heard about that yet, we recently launched another campaign in our campaign world. And they have had their first session so far. I'm really excited to get those going on YouTube as well. Townsfolk, if you haven't heard about this, you can join the Kingdom of Rin as an NPC. You get to build a business and a shopkeeper for that business. Even if you don't know how to play D&D, that's totally okay. It takes about 10 or 15 minutes to do with one of our game masters, and then every month you can either do it in play-by-post or you can get in voice chat with one of our game masters. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes each month to sit down, do the rolls for your business to see whether it's profitable or not, and if it, if there befalls any negative things, or if any negative things befall it, and how you'd like to spend your money. So it's a really fun way to impact the kingdom. And then our game masters will periodically use those shops and shopkeepers that you have helped us create during our on-stream sessions. So head to discord.gg/HereThereBeMonsters, go to the tabletop role-playing section, and go to the townsfolk to find out more. Big thank you to the Mortal Woes for both of those projects at Mortal Woes on Twitch and YouTube. Both our second campaign and our Townsfolk program are run by game masters from the Mortal Woes tabletop gaming community. So I think that's it for news. Let's get some stuff done. Some stuff. Hello, Amras and Lily as well. We're organizing the kids' clothing. It feels like it's never ending. I cannot empathize, but I definitely believe you. So one of the first things, or the first thing that we need to do today, because it would be really easy to forget, is in order to save time at the end of the previous session, we skipped assigning the combat damage that needs to be dealt between the two armies. So we need to go do that. I'm really glad that I thought of that today because I had not written that down. That was not on my to-do list at all. Whoopsies. Like I said, at least I thought of it. You were going to cut an apron pattern, but it seems like a lot. Well, if it's not a project that has to have a timeline, then don't make it more stressful on yourself than it needs to be. Thank you, Stardust. I appreciate it. Also, 2 quick notes for those of y'all watching, especially if you're going to be chatting at all. Make sure to go and set your chat to live chat instead of top chat. Top chat is Garbo on smaller live streams. And 2, while you're at it, if you could, go hit that thumbs up button. We really appreciate it. a good way to tell YouTube that they should show our projects to more people. Okay, so I need to get up, to go to world building and get my file for the Unity of the Warforged pulled up here. And then I am going to go from, oh, actually I need to do one other thing that I thought of as well. This one's very, very quick. I also need to move 1 unit of troops. Which means I'm going to need to move something else too. Well, some of that's difficult terrain though. Probably. Oh, that actually works pretty well. Yeah. Now we go to the main battle and start assigning damage. And we're going to go from west to east and go 1 chunk at a time so that this doesn't get messed up. Big shout out to Rarar, who was helping us do a lot of this type of work behind the scenes during the session. She saved us a ton of time during the battle. Well, hello there. How are you today, sir? Excellent. Okay, I figured that was who it was, but I was like, oh, I don't want to name you just in case, because some people are like, I don't really care if my if my like YouTube name or whatever is out there, and some people do. So, thanks for joining us, Captain Tom. How are you, sir? Taking it easy today? Heck yeah. Yeah, you had a busy weekend. I am not showing what I'm doing because we try and keep these streams relatively spoiler free. And it doesn't really change anything. I'm essentially just scrolling through the battlefield and assigning damage. Man, we missed you during the whitewater rafting. We did end up going. As expected, we were not able to traverse the class 3s, but we did get a couple of good stretches of class 2 rapids in that were still, and just in general, it was still a lot of fun to get out on the water with everybody. Oh, do that. Yeah. Yeah, it kind of sort of started to sprinkle when we were, I don't know, maybe 100 yards or so away from our takeout point. But probably a little more than that, a couple 100 yards. And then once we got within about 100 feet of our takeout point, we had an absolute cloud burst. So we had about 5 minutes of sprinkle right near the end, and then yeah, a total cloud burst like right before we got to the takeout point. So there was no electrical activity or anything, which was the main thing that we were concerned about. And the only reason we went was because it didn't, like, the forecasts and everything and just what we were seeing in the skies didn't look like we were going to have any electrical storms. But and that was correct. But yeah, we got absolutely dumped on right at the end. It's okay though. It's still a lot of fun. Right, Amrath? Exactly, none. Okay, let's see. How much my human cavalry do? Human cavalry does 34 damage. Oh, you know what I hadn't really thought about, though? If I wrote this down. No, I didn't write down how much health they had. We're going to have to reverse engineer the orc cavalry's hit points. And I need to check, too, when we were doing all that math, I don't think we included the human horses in their hit points. YYHP equals 1 mini. Go. So we have to backtrack a little. It's one of the reasons why we why I do these streams, because it helps me stay focused on things like that. Because once we start backtracking to fix something, it can be really easy to get lost in the weeds. So we want the category on wolf, and we want dire wolf and normal wolf. And then we want the category on horse. I just thought of something. Didn't oh, that's right, that's right. I was gonna say, didn't Alan Knight end up doing a thing? Speaking of getting off track, but I remembered. 3d8 plus 6. What's the average of 3d8 plus 6? 9 13. No, wait, hold on. 4.5. Yeah, 9 13.5 plus 6 is 19.5. And then we always round down to 19. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So 19 health per horse. 8, 16, 32. Be 48 horses. 48 times 19. I don't feel like doing that in my head. Oh my god, it's so much more than I thought. Right. We ran into this problem with the wolves also. I decided to use a lesser value. Because the horses aren't, like, the mounts aren't super effective on their own. Then the average 2d8 plus 4 is 13. 13. Okay, and then there are 4, 8, 16. There are 32 of those. Okay. Then we've got 32. 5 as well. That's 160. Then if I do 416 plus 160, that's what? 576. Let's see if I can correctly reverse engineer what we did here. 576. Excellent. Okay, so yeah, so I used the basic wolf hit points, even though these are larger wolves that should have more hit points. Then we need to do something to similarly balance out the horses. Because it's kind of ridiculous otherwise. I think we'll treat the horses for this purpose as having 1d8 hit points instead of 2d8. And to be fair, we have been continuously describing their horses as being like small, undertrained, etc. I think if we do that, then that makes them 456 for horse hit points. Plus, how many riders did I say? 4, 8, 16, 32, 48 riders. The 48 riders times 5 hit points per rider is 240. 456 plus 240 is what? 696. Does that just make them super overpowered compared to the orcs? It'll be a close battle between the cavalry. I guess we'll put it that way. Gonna be close. Oh, wait, no, hold on, but that wouldn't be right because it's 2d8 plus 4 hit points, but that means that that each hit die is 1d8 plus 2. So if we're taking away a hit die, we need to take away a plus 2 as well. The average horse hit points is only actually 6. Okay, we need to remath that. Pony hit points, exactly. The Pony Express. So 6 times 48 plus 5 times 48. That gives us 528. Okay. Yep. I think those tweaks make sense. It really, and I very, very rarely do stuff like this that's not just like straight up by the books. Like using the horses' hit points and using the wolves' hit points and whatnot. But I think partly because of the narrative that we've established around how these militaries are equipped, and also partly from a balance standpoint, if the cavalry has which is a relatively small unit of each army, has twice as much hit points as larger battalions of infantry, and I realize, yes, cavalry do win battles. That's a thing for sure. But, the cavalry could practically solo the battle. I think if we're not careful here. And mainly it's the mount's hit points that's throwing that off. And realistically, especially for the horses, right? Once their rider's gone, they're not really gonna fight anyway. So it's all an approximation. We're doing our best approximation. So the cavalry hit points are now fixed. So there's one other thing that I thought of, which is I think we need a chaos dice for a commander being targeted. Because during the ambush, the commanders essentially just stayed near the back. And I realize that is oftentimes how that happens. But also, there's totally narratives from, the American Civil War or, whatever, take your pick, where, some general or colonel or something got, picked off of their horse or something. I feel like that should just be, a D% roll. What percent chance on any given turn do we think there should be that a unit's commander gets killed randomly? It's got to be low, right? It's got to be 5% or less, maybe 1%. An idea target, and they wouldn't necessarily die, but just if they get hit, might kill them. An idea: target the rider instead of the horse, unless you start at it. Well, so we have a problem the other way. If we don't include the mount hit points, then the cavalry is hilariously easy to kill. One volley of arrows takes out the entire enemy cavalry in either direction. So I started including the mount hit points kind of as a way to like, just kind of convey the general, like, they've got more armor, they've got more training, et cetera, et cetera. I was asked General Custer about cavalry failures, right? Right. Here's what I'm thinking for commander damage. Well, okay, so I have two ideas. Either, no, three ideas. We have a flat rate, right? Something like 1 to maybe 3%. Or we have a variable rate depending on how close to the front lines they are. So, like, Bridget leading the cavalry charge is going to be in more danger than Dunstan in the tower. Or we use the flat rate and then we just say that commanders are always targeted if they get too close. I feel like that's going to result in both armies just getting their heads cut off. Well, the problem though, Amras, is we'd have to do that almost 100 times per turn. So I don't think we really have a way to represent that large scale. Good evening. Dream big, build small. I like your name. We are theorizing about the amount of danger that field commanders should be in during a large scale conflict in D&D. Not just a general role for captain unit. Well, but only one of the captains is mounted. Everybody else is on foot. Yeah. I mean, even if we were just doing the captains, there'd still be almost 24 per turn, which is still a lot. There is a cavalry division, yeah. So there's a small detachment of about 50 cavalry that's being led by Bridget. And also, yes, cavalry is where Jesus was crucified. Cavalry are mounted troops. I think, okay, so here's the other thing though. The officers have their own, well, the commanders and the knight have their own AC and everything. So we could just say that they automatically get targeted if they get close, but then the attacks have to be made against the actual AC. The problem is I never specifically statted out the captains. That gets a little bit harder. But I think we go with a flat rate number that you catch a random arrow or whatever. And then yeah, they just get targeted by a reasonable amount of nearby troops if they get too close. Let me actually write that down in my rules for the battle. Captains have a, let's just say 1% chance to catch fray damage and are automatically targeted by a reasonable number of nearby troops when getting too close. So that gets kind of awkward, though, because in a way that makes the human cavalry way more tanky because Bridget is going to be in the front. But that's fine. Here, I'll switch over so you guys can see, and we'll roll the dice for that particular attack. That'll be kind of fun. Go here. Let me find Bridget's character sheet. Aha. Okay. Then let me see if she has any relevant feats or anything. Oh dear, I don't remember what that does. I should probably look that up. That's going to be pertinent here. She has a feat called Natural Leader. Otherwise, it's just like her. Oh yeah, and she has Block Arrow, but that's only help with range attacks. Excellent. I have Heroes of Battle here. We're gonna spend the whole time just doing this damage, but that's okay because it needs to get done. Feats. Natural Leader, 98. Natural Leader, you have a commanding presence. You gain a +4 bonus on rally checks. I don't remember what that means. I know it has to do with like morale stuff. The rally check. Once morale begins to degrade, the best course of action is for a charismatic character to rally the troops with a few stirring words. This is accomplished by making a rally check, which requires a move action by any creature that currently has a morale condition of normal or better. Okay. To make the rally check, the character rolls 1d20 and adds their charisma modifier plus their commander rating. A single check allows a character to try to rally any comrades within line of sight and earshot. This is a language-dependent effect. A creature can be subject to only one rally check attempt per round. Unsuccessful rally attempts make that target more difficult to rally. Okay. Yes. Yes. That's actually from a magic item, not specifically a feat, but yes. Her shield can be called to her. This is cool. Morale conditions. So we have heartened, normal, shaken, frightened, panicked, crazed. If a creature rolls a 1 on a save that would make them panicked, they assume one of the following conditions determined randomly instead of becoming panicked. This condition overrides the effects of the character's normal morale condition. It remains for the duration of the battle plus 1 hour, or until the creature's morale improves to shaken or better. If a crazed creature's condition is removed through some other effect, treat the creature as panicked. So the crazed effects, we have Berserk. The character makes a melee or ranged attack against the nearest living creature. Oh dear. Not the nearest enemy. When Berserk, the character makes a melee or ranged attack against the nearest living creature. Or closes with that creature if they cannot attack. If 2 or more creatures are equidistant, choose the target randomly. Oh dear. Cowering, frozen in fear, take no actions, -2 to AC. Dazed, take no actions. Deafened, cannot hear, -4 initiative, no listen checks, and 20% spell failure on spells with verbal components. Or nauseated, unable to attack, cast spells, concentrate, or take any action other than a single move action. That's really fun. We're not going to get that done today, but we are going to need to start tracking morale as well, especially on the western flank. I'm going to make a note. Right, Silent Watcher? Oh, did I close my to-do list? I did. Oh dear, and it's supposed to be break time already too. I bit off way more than I could chew for today. I did not expect this to be this in-depth. Yeah, I've made a note of it. Exactly, none. I knew you'd understand. Yeah, I think what we'll probably do, because generally speaking, the way that it's set up is that you make checks. Let me get back to that page. 73. Typically, a creature must attempt a morale check on the first round that one of the following conditions applies. It takes 50% damage, or a unit has taken 50% casualty. Creatures make a morale check if half or more of the comrades in their unit are unable to fight, whether they're dead, unconscious, fleeing, paralyzed, or otherwise out of commission. If a creature is required to attempt a morale check, it makes the check at the start of its turn before it takes any other action. Depending on the situation, certain modifiers might apply to the check. For the purpose of these modifiers, nearby is defined as insight and within 120 feet. Group morale checks. In cases when you need to know whether a large group of creatures stays or runs, a single morale check can often take the place of individual checks for each member, thank God. With the result applying equally to all creatures. I was going to have to home rule something for that if that wasn't addressed. That saves a lot of time and effort on the DM's part. Use this shortcut only when you're dealing with a large group and the fate of individual soldiers doesn't matter, such as when the PCs are observing part of a battle but haven't waded into the melee themselves. If you feel it's important to know how each individual soldier would react, you have to use the normal morale check rules instead. Since you probably aren't keeping track of the hit points of the individuals in the group, make a morale check only when the unit has taken 50% casualties, right? For the purposes of a group morale check, the unit is the maneuver element of the enemy army, usually a squad or platoon of soldiers, numbering in the tens. Yeah. Because 2,000 orcs march onto the battlefield one morning doesn't mean they don't make morale checks until 1,000 of them are dead or dying. Right. Yeah. For the purposes of making a group morale check, the unit's will save modifier is the average of the individual will save modifiers of each. Yeah, that makes sense. If the group consists of essentially identical creatures, this value is the same. Yeah. In groups of differing creatures, add them together and add blah, blah, blah. If you anticipate using the shortcut, you should figure out the value before the gaming session begins to save time. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so that'll be relatively easy to do. It's still a lot of checks. It's an extra about 15 checks per turn. But they can be done. Yeah. Probably an extra couple minutes per round, but if we have background DMs, that won't be a problem. The harder part is going to be how we want to handle tracking their morale. I have an idea, though. Back to the battlefield. Let's do a... No, actually, I wanted to be where I was. Here. We want lights. And I guess just like a flame. So then I think, oops, if I leave build mode, oh God. There. No, don't leave build mode. What have I done? There. Oh, can I not? I thought there was a way to turn props into objects. I swear to God, I've done that with like barrels and stuff before. Got a brownout. Uh-oh. What's going on? How did I do that? There's definitely a way. Oh, not like that. It's cool weather. Today's a skyrocket of hot, humid weather. Okay, convert prop miniature. Converting, no, not minis to props. Other way. Make them into a slab, which you can copy and paste. Oh god. However, there's currently no way to move it without cutting and pasting again. Rotational limited. Overloading the grid. Gotcha. All right. Oh, I don't want volume for this though. Oh, never mind. Okay, you totally can. How is he doing that? Place your prop and then press tab to open the GM menu and then click convert. Ah, there it is. Here we go. Convert prop to creature. Huzzah! That's what we wanted. Thank you, random YouTube man. So I'm thinking we could essentially convey. I guess I don't need that anymore. We could convey degrees of panic with flame. Right? Like how inflamed passions or what have you. Because we should be able to. Yeah, here we go. We have normal, big. How big can we get? Hilarious. Okay. So that could be kind of a general representation. Like you could literally go and put out fires, so to speak. It looks a little weird, but it's not terrible. Not terrible as a representation. How many levels do we need? Heartened, normal, shaken, frightened, panicked, crazed. So there's 6, but 2 of those are positive. Maybe we have a blue flame or red flame. Blue for positive, red for negative. Okay. We're not going to finish solving that that issue right now, but oh god, it's hilarious when you move it. I forgot about the camera shake. But I think that gives us a good start on morale. Use blue flame for positive and red, orange flame for negative. Eyes up and down to convey severity of effect. There we go. Well, cool. That was super helpful. We're gonna go ahead and do that break now that I was supposed to do 10 minutes ago. But we had to follow that logic through to its conclusion. Because we need that answer for our next session. So we're gonna get up, stretch your legs, go to the bathroom, refill water, etc. If you haven't been up off your booty, you should do the same. And I will be back in about 5 minutes. If you haven't done so yet, please don't forget to go and like the live stream. It's a great, easy, free way to support us and tell YouTube to show more of our content to more people around the internet. If you're new here, I'm Mercy, the Game Master at HereThereBeMonsters. We stream D&D about twice a month on twitch.tv/HereThereBeMonsters, and then we upload those sessions here on our YouTube, as well as making some YouTube original D&D content as well. We are partway through the Battle of Capstone, which is a large-scale combat involving over 2,000 combatants. We are a low-level, low-power campaign. Think kind of Lord of the Rings-esque feel. And what we're doing right now is cleaning up some of the underlying mechanics because we're partway through the battle, and as we go, then certain things like morale and whatnot will be changing, and so obviously we need to have that dealt with. So I'll be back in a couple minutes, and enjoy your break. Okay, I'm back. That was really interesting timing. I'll explain what that means in a second. I just need to update the timers. Speaking of timing. Okay, so as a quick aside before we get back into this, I was sitting there scrolling TikTok on my break, and I came across an interview with Sam Reich. I can't remember exactly where I know that name from. He might even be one of the D&D designers. I can't remember. But between Sam Reich and Brennan Lee Mulligan, who is the game master at Dimension 20, which is one of the other than Critical Role, one of the most popular D&D productions out there. And they were talking about, there's a little bit more to it, but in short, they were talking about natural ones versus natural 20s. And Sam Reich took the stance that he thinks that natural ones are more interesting than natural 20s. And I hard agree. Not even a hot take, I don't think. I hard agree. And not just because that's what I think, but because after years and years and years of playing, because that's what my players think, with me not having anything to do with it. We played in the Kingdom of Ren for about 5 years, from about 2013 to about 2018. Exactly. And now, probably about 6 years since the end of that game, every single one of the stories, at least that I can think of off the top of my head, that my players still occasionally tell, around the fire, or when we get together and something comes up about D&D or whatever, every single one of those stories is about a natural one, a fumble, that led to something interesting happening. Yeah, I literally can't, like I said, at least off the top of my head, cannot think of another, like, of a story that I still hear my players retell years later that didn't start with a fumble. Or I guess start is probably overstating, but that didn't significantly feature a fumble. Although I feel like usually it is starts with, because that's just kind of where we like mentally mark where that memory begins. But yeah, I think even if the outcome of the fumble itself is relatively boring, in that just like you drop your weapon or you hit your ally or whatever, like the way that changes the situation is still more interesting. And also, obviously, the fumbles themselves can be potentially more individually interesting than that as well. Okay, so now that we have hit points for our minis, let's go back to this. We can divide. So there are 576. 576 divided by 8. So every 72 hit points, we'll knock down 1 mini. And for our human cavalry, we need 528 divided by 12. Oh, I closed the calculator on accident. 528 divided by 12 is 44 hit points equals 1 mini. So I suspect we may already need to knock down some minis, or at least if we don't yet, we're about to. Oh, not quite yet. The orcs are going to lose their first batch of 4. So for anybody who doesn't have context, because of some of the limitations of Tailspire on how many miniature entities you can have on a map, each miniature that you see equals 4 miniatures, with a very few exceptions. Like this right here, this is Bridget, the Knight Commander in charge of the entire human militia. There are not 4 of her, there is 1 of her. But barring a few small exceptions like that, all the minis that you see are equal to 4. And you know what? Something else that maybe we coulda, woulda, shoulda done that would make managing this easier would be to actually duplicate the board and then have one board that only has the ambushing minis and one board that only has the frontline minis. And then that way we could at least slightly exceed the 600 minis limitation. And then we could switch between boards when we're switching scenes. Too late now, but that would have been an interesting idea. Hello there. Thanks for coming by. So, the damage has been dealt to the orcs. The damage has not been dealt to the humans yet. Oh, God. I feel like we may need to... Hold on, I need to double check one other number. How are you doing today, Mr. Morris? I think we may have overestimated the wolf damage as well. Because we decided to scale down their hit points, but I don't think we scaled down their damage. The dire wolves do 1d8 plus 10 damage, so that's an average of 14.5 or 14. Normal wolves do 1d6 plus 1 damage, so that's an average of 4.5 or 4. So the difference between 4 and 14 is 10, so halfway in the middle is, I believe, what I did. I believe we said that the average damage of these wolves was 9. But that's a lot. Especially with there being so many of them, right? Because there's 4, 8, 16. There's 32 of them. Oh, no, I guess I didn't do that. That would be way more damage than I have one written down here. Although some of that is because we assumed that not every rider would be attacking every turn. I think we decided that about only a quarter of riders attack each turn is what it looks like. So if we want to tweak that number... Foxy! Hello, hello. How are you? If we want to tweak that number, then we want to reduce it from an average of 9 damage per attack to, if we want to go down to normal wolf numbers, then it's an average of 4 damage per attack. So we need to divide 4 by 9. That's 0.44 repeating, and multiply that by 72 that we thought it was going to be. That would make the wolves do 32 damage. I think that's much more reasonable. They're still very dangerous, but I think that's much better, a much more sensible number. given the other changes that we made. The amount of damage that they were doing was literally outsized to them. Doing good. You got done with work, and yay for paid holiday tomorrow. Let's go. You do anything fun for your day? Okay, and then we said that each human light cavalry was equal to 44 health. So that means we need to knock one down. Which one should we knock down? It's just kind of just for funsies. Let's roll a d12. Number 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have been chosen. Status. Blop. Oh no. So the way that we have to get the riders onto the horses is we give them the flying status. Because otherwise the mini sits way too low and they're just like inside the horse. It kind of looks cool actually, right? Because if you look at it, the way that they kind of like bob and weave around, it kind of looks like they're bouncing around on a horse. So it works. It double works. But it's real fun. It's real derpy with the once we have casualties. Okay, I'm gonna come back up here to big now. Good deal. So that is done. Okay. This particular unit regains hit points. Then those opponents will do damage to each other as normal. That is 44 to the humans. I think something has gone horribly wrong over here. Oh dear. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 20, 40, 60, 100, 20, 40, 60. Somehow one of these units took way more damage. I think some math got messed up. Oh dear. Okay. We may have some fixing to do here. Most of them are within a similar margin. So, like, this one seems a little low at 268. As the Black Scale tribe. Okay. And the Black Scale Tribe does not do anything special as far as damage goes. Each tribe has kind of their own special ability. So realistically, they should have just dealt. I think we had like 3 rounds worth of damage. Be 132. $268 plus 132. 3. Well, I guess it's 400 even. Did we do a 4th round of damage? What's 268 plus 176? 444. Rut-row. Hundred. Okay. So some of the clans deal or take slightly more or less damage or whatever, depending on their individual strengths and weaknesses, like as a clan or a tribe. But most of the differences come out to like 5%. So most of the human commanders are currently showing around 350 hit points. That one's like at 316, so that's probably one that's against one of the orc tribes that deals like a bit more damage. But then like this one is at 302, which seems a little extra low to me. One's at 268, and I can't quite figure where that is coming from. So we may have a little bit more to unpack here than expected. That's okay. We'll figure it out. I don't know if I'll get that done during the stream today. So how do we want to, with about 10 minutes left, how do we want to handle this? I think probably we go from left to right and we just we do a full verification for each group. And then I just mark where I leave off. So for the cavalry, where's their health? There it is. The cavalry have been shot at by 1/4 of the archers once, and they have been now hit by Bridget's cavalry. So that should be Well, yeah, not exactly at least. Remember, there was the thing that we unveiled kind of near the end. So 27 there plus. Oh, friendly? No. 7 plus 34. So the orc cavalry should be missing 61 health. According to that. $508 plus 61. There's been slightly too much damage done to the orc cavalry, but not crazy. It should be a 515, not 518. Then the damage to the human cavalry we know is right because we just did it using the new numbers. Here's one question. Amras, do you remember how many meta turns we did at the front? Oh no, wait, sorry, because you weren't there at the beginning. I believe we did 3, but we hadn't assigned the damage from the third one yet. It's possible that we'd done 4. There's no real good way to back calculate that. 350 plus 300 would be 650. So that's and then we need to take 30 out of that. So there's been 270. Oh, that's true. When you came back, I had you take 3 turns worth of actions, right? Like 3 meta turns worth of actions. So what is 270 divided by how much damage the frostbite orcs do? Okay. Yep. Okay. So what you were thinking, and then what I just found in the numbers. So there have been 3 turns worth of damage dealt by the armies. So either Aurar got more done than we thought, or we miscommunicated about something. Oh, hello, Aurar. We are, so we've been down several very useful rabbit holes for the battle. Also, hi. And while getting into the process of dealing the damage for the last turn that we said that we would deal the damage off, after the session for. And now that you're here, you might be able to help take pity on us for this last little bit. Some of the numbers, and I know you had a lot going on Saturday, and you had to take off partway through, and obviously you were kind of left to like read through the documentation and try and figure it out. So like there's no shade here at all. I just want to verify and fix if needed. Some of the damages that have been dealt to some of these commanders seem they seem excessive, and I was kind of trying to figure out why. For instance, poor Landon here. I think this is Landon, right? Yeah. Okay, so that was one of the other things that we were counting backwards on. So, okay, so you did 3 rounds of damage, because there was the first one that I had not very clearly asked you to do. That was on me. And then we came back, and the next round we just had you do double damage. And then you did 1 more after that. Okay. So that makes a lot of sense for me when it comes to, say, the Frostbite Horde, who deals 90 damage per turn. Hey, Orange Bread. Hello, hello. And they're missing 270 health. 3 times 90, 270. So that matches up. That makes sense. But then we had, and several of them were at about 350, so that those numbers seemed to make sense. But then the ones on the end, like these guys had taken quite a bit more damage, but also didn't have anywhere near the requisite number of guys knocked down, which I know was like a whole separate thing. So kind of trying to piece things together. You think you alternated between, wait, the guys in the end also got the flying damage. Oh, so you were doing the flying damage the whole time. Okay. No, that's fine. We didn't reveal the flyers like to the players until a little bit further on. But yeah, exact. That's fine. We hadn't specifically talked about that. Okay, so that makes sense. But I have another follow-up question there then. So this side, which is Gareth has 268 health. Landon, however, has 170. And that's theoretically inclusive of the 2 reinforcements that he got, which would have healed him for 40. So, what in the world happened to Dear Landon? No, I know, but I went through and did the reinforcements. Now, it's possible that I might have missed these 2 that got thrown down here. So maybe Landon should be at 210. But either way, with healing, he's still way behind Gareth. They did take 1 round of damage from the cavalry, but that I don't think that makes up the difference. Maybe it does. Hold on. 170. What was Gareth at? He was at essentially 270, so 100 extra damage. Yeah, and that number, oh, 3 rounds on the end. He probably took 2 rounds of glider damage, but so should have the other guy. Yeah, we have a little bit of back calculating to do, I think, to verify. About the group second to the end on the east. This group's at so most of them, so like that group's at 348, that group's at 350, which I'm not entirely sure how we would have ended up with only 2 damage different. I know a few of the orc tribes do more damage, but it should be like 2 per round, so it would be a difference of like 6 or so, not just 2. But anyway, those are both about 350. Then this one is 316, which seems like it would be about right if they are against one of the tribes that deals like a couple more damage per turn. And then this one's at 302. That one also seemed a little bit weird to me. One of them took orc cavalry damage. Right. That's probably this one. Oh, this one. Well, but they're not missing enough health to have taken damage from the orcs twice. From the cavalry twice, sorry. Because the cavalry damage, I actually reduced it today, so that's a whole nother thing. But the reduced number from the cavalry is 78. So neither of these are missing 150 health. Well, and it would be even more, right? It would be about 100. So neither of these are missing the like 200 health more than they would be if they had taken bonus cavalry damage. But I think maybe, yeah, I think maybe just that this all needs to be remathed. It's okay. It's not going to take that long to do. Which commander was facing the wolf group? This one. The one that's at 316. So it's okay. Now that we know the number of rounds, it's not going to be too hard to go back and recalculate. And then we can potentially redistribute the Moral Woes' healing, the reinforcements that they sent as well. Because we just need to do 4 times the damages, and that'll be right for almost all of them. The only ones that would be different is this one, because they took 1 turn of damage from the Orc Cavalry. One of the ones over here would have taken probably only actually 1 turn of damage from the Orc Cavalry, because then the cavalry had to ride along the battle lines to get over here, right? And then the flanks, would need to take the glider damage. But like, so there's what? There's 6 groups, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, 5 groups. Wait, is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, yeah, 6 is right. 6 is right. So like 3 of those groups will just take essentially the same amount of damage, maybe plus or minus 5%. And then 3 of them will have a special calculation. No, it's okay. It's okay. We probably both could have benefited from getting together one time before the session to go over everything and make sure our heads were clear and answer any unanswered questions and whatnot. But yeah, it's not going to be super hard to go back and do. I don't know exactly when I can do that. Like obviously, I totally can do that. Or if you want to take a crack at it, you are more than welcome. If you're unclear on what units should have, like how many rounds of special damage or whatever, though, it might be easier for me to do it, to be honest. Because yeah, poor it was Landon that first got me looking at it, but poor Landon here, he's only got a third of his troops left, allegedly. So there's way too many people still standing here. That was what first got my attention. You might write it up laid out on the battlefield just to get it clear for yourself. But you think you should probably check the numbers. You remember we're getting very low, but that's real bad. Yeah, yeah. No, it's okay. Um Okay. I mean, I could also write it out if you then want, like, I guess maybe that's the best solution is I write out the scenarios, and then since hopefully the next time we play you can help with behind the scenes stuff again, and then that way if you're the one that redoes the math, then that gives you some practice. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not going to do that right now. We're coming up on my my drop deadline. Do we know when the next session will be? No, not yet. Not for sure. It will probably be the 20th. We've got a while. Although, as we know, those times come up quicker than expected. Do you know which weekends for you? Oh no, those are probably the 2 that we're going to be playing. All right. Well, I might have to do some other recruiting then. Of course, that's the way it lines up. Well, are you still willing to help me redo the math on this at least? That would still help some. Okay. Thank you. I'll just make myself a note to like kind of rewrite those scenarios. Write out damage scenarios for our 4 total turns. Now stop working. Yes, I will. Well, sort of. I need to leave this work so I can go work on the session 10 video because I got like 3/4 of the way through editing the video. Because I wanted to have it posted this morning, so I was working on it late last night, and then I realized that it was actually the session 11 video that I was editing. So, good news. I already have most of the session 11 video done. Bad news. Haven't really started. Well, I've done a little bit, but I haven't in any meaningful way. I have not made any meaningful progress on the session 10 one yet. So, I mean, task failed successfully. It's still work that needed to be done. The order of operations was just wrong. Yeah. The downside is I wanted to have session 10 posted this morning, so then when I post session 11 on Saturday, then they're not so close together. But that's what it is. It is what it is. All right. Well, today was still good. And I also, one of the other things that we messed with, or before you got here, is I think we have a relatively good way to implement morale. I hadn't messed with that in the first, kind of third to half of the battle because I figured, it would be a while before that would even be an issue. And also just we hadn't gotten to it yet. But I was looking at the rules in the Heroes of Battle book. And it actually specifically says that units don't start making morale checks until they've taken 50% casualties. So it works out. But I think I have a good way to like visually track and communicate morale. So I don't think, and I know it's going to end up that you're not going to be there anyway. But I think we have a good way to visually track and communicate morale on the battlefield. That's why that big flame is out there. We were messing with that. I was thinking essentially like make the flame bigger, like as the worse the morale gets. So anyway, that was productive, just not in the way that I expected. That was good. Thank you to everybody who came by and hung out. We super appreciate it. If you are curious to learn more about us and our campaigns, please check out our session videos. There are about 20 of them. There's a prologue that's about 10 episodes long, which covers the character's first level and kind of their journey to becoming adventurers, and then the start of season 1 was kind of the official lead up to the battle that we were then working on today. So thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thank you to everybody who has helped make the battle possible, like Orar, of course, all of our players, and Callie Hawk as well. And I'm out of here. Our next stream is on Friday, twitch.tv/HereThereBeMonsters. We'll be playing some Helldivers 2. Thank you guys so much. If you're in the U.S., have a wonderful Independence Day tomorrow. And as always, take care and be excellent to each other.